What's up, YouTube? Sideline Eli here with my guy Vic. Welcome back. Episode 5 of Sideline Chatter with Vic, and we are going to be talking strictly some football today. Please ignore the drywall patch in the background, as I do have some painting to do this weekend. But with all that said, we are going to get right into it with some Patriots talk, as unfortunately, or as Vic would say, fortunately, they are no longer playing football, so we're going to kick it off with them. Let's get right into it. We have Patriots, Bills from Week 18. What you got for us, Vic?
Not the number one pick anymore, that's for sure. Lost that.
Tragic.
But no, I mean the game itself was a good game. A lot of fans are really mad that we won that game, and like we don't want obviously like you said before, you don't want to just tank, just for the sake of tanking. Like you at least want to have like competition. You at least want to compete for like winning because that's what you're supposed to do. Tanking's bad. It's just not a good thing to do.
It
Granted,
hurt the morale of the team, even in Week
yeah,
18.
yeah, and it just looks bad altogether. I mean, like, oh, you guys just weren't really trying, and I think teams can get in trouble for that too. Um, but we started Drake May, but he only was in for like the first drive, or maybe even like a couple snaps, and then Joe Milton took over. And when we drafted Joe Milton, because he was a late pick, I think he was like round 5 is when we got him, round
Sounds
5,
about
round
right.
6,
Somewhere 5, 6, 7. Yeah, definitely a late round guy.
and I was happy when we picked him up because he came straight from I think it was Tennessee or Texas. It was one of those two. But he always had an arm on him, and I was like, we got Drake May and Joe Milton. Like obviously Drake May was the future quarterback, but if things work with Joe Milton, we could have him as a solid backup. The preseason comes around, Joe Milton's slinging that ball. He's balling. He's widely inaccurate up to 10 yards, but like past 15, he's like a laser. It makes no sense. The ball he throws the ball so fast. He throws it pretty accurate from that far too. And he's one of those young gunslingers with an actual arm that most of these teams want in a QB. And he's kind of like a smaller version of Lamar Jackson almost because he does like run it and scramble out on plays, and he even got himself a rushing touchdown on a Sunday too.
Kind of has like the
But
Carson Wentz effect going on. Likes to take them intermediate to deep shots and can do it pretty well, but can't hit a 5-yard out to save his life. And you were correct, by the way. From Tennessee, he was a 6th-round pick, 193.
yep, because I know he would play for Tennessee because I think Hendon Hooker suffered that injury that took him out for the rest of the year. Just for a little college ball throwback. But I mean, Joe Milton went 2 for 29, 241, one touchdown thrown to Kayshawn Butt, and then a rushing touchdown for himself, which I think in all is a solid day. Fans don't like it, but he had a live today, and he told them like, "What would you do in my position? Would you just sell the game and probably never have a chance again, or would you play your heart out, and try to show them like what you have?" Like the season was already over by like week 7, week 8, anyways.
I actually
We
caught
knew
that.
that a long time ago that we weren't making the playoffs. Even when we were out of the playoffs, we weren't surprised. So for fans to kind of like get on Joe Milton for playing good is absurd to me. Because outside of like being a fan, it's like you like when going out on a win, and especially knowing like, hey, like I mean, he's the third string, but I don't think we'll keep Jacoby next year. And if we do, then he'll still be the third string, but or we'll trade him and we'll still get some value off of him. But like he's a solid player. And I think he's one of those that was in the draft that was very underlooked. Definitely in the combine too. I think that's why we got him so low too. And I do think that he has more potential to like help like one of these hurt teams, like say like like a Giants or a Broncos, or no, they're not Broncos, a Browns team. The Browns could really shop him too. I know they're going to look at trying getting Cam Ward, but I mean Deshaun Watson just re-ruptured his Achilles. He might not even play next year.
I missed that.
So I mean, getting a Joe Milton on that team, someone that plays the similar style to a young Deshaun Watson, that's not a bad option in my opinion. But Antonio Gibson had a decent game. I think he had a fumble again, but I mean,
Poor game.
what are you gonna do? And then the Bills, they played Mitch Trubisky and Mike White. James Cook had another rushing touchdown to solidify the touchdown. I think he has the most touchdowns in the league now for the regular season. It's not as much as like it could have been, but I think it's like about 15, 16. But regardless, and with us winning led to the firing of Gerard Mayo, Mr. Mayonnaise himself, next to Will Levis,
Yeah,
and
I don't like that decision, personally.
it's tough. I do think we fired him because we're already knowing who our next head coach is. But before I get into like that whole debacle, I do want to say like as a first year coach on a already bad team, or we were resetting to begin with. He was kind of I don't think he really understood the way interviews should go. One day he would say like, "Oh, we're going to spend all this money, we're going to try to get talent around our guys." Then the next day go back on those same words, be like, "Well, I didn't mean that. We're going to, play it by ear, see how it looks and that kind of deal."
Learning on
And
the job, and that's a hard job to learn as you go.
it really is. And being a defensive coach that he was, or still is, I guess, our defense regressed from last year to this year. We got a lot of our guys back. We made some defensive signings. We extended some people. Christian Gonzalez was the big one because he had a standout rookie year until he got hurt.
We botched that.
And whenever he got back, it just seemed like our defense wasn't really clicking how it should. More so than our offense not being that good because we already had a pretty awful offense and we made like no effort to make that any better.
Well, that's
Like our
why I'm
receiver.
not like a huge fan of the decision in general because, like you said, it was a team that was already kind of in the reset era. They had a young rookie quarterback that, you know,
He didn't get a play till week like 3 or 4.
exactly. And we know who Jacoby Brissett is, right? Jacoby Brissett, Lord have mercy. We knew who Drake May was coming into the season, and it was just one of those things to where I get it. You're iffy on starting the rookie quarterback, but at the same time, when you take a guy that high, it's because you believe in who he is as a player, and knowing that it was kind of the process of a rebuild. I just think that they probably should have rolled with May from Jump Street, and I'm not saying it would have saved his job, but like you said, it was one of those things to where it's like indecisiveness, rather that was his call or not. It's like one week we're doing this, the next week, never mind, we're gonna do it this way. So
Well, with I was one of those people that said like we should start Drake May week 1. I'm like we got him for the 3rd overall pick. Why are we sitting him behind Brissett? And everyone was like, well, it makes sense, have him sit behind a veteran, let him learn. That's why you have training camp, and that's why you have preseason, so they can understand and learn. Obviously, those are different
exactly.
than the real games because that's a lot more miles an hour than those games. But preseason, you still got guys going for it. Training camp, the training camp. What do they call it with the teams? Like it's your teams like
OTAs.
OTAs. Yeah, like there's all that time to learn. And I think Drake May, under those like circumstances, would learn pretty well. He didn't play much preseason and then that's where I was talking about more of a Joe Milton III having his like really solid preseason. Because I bet if Joe Milton didn't have a solid preseason, he wouldn't be on the team right now, and May would have played that week 18 for no reason. But I think I was one of those people that said we should start Drake May. Everyone told me that's a bad idea. Now look at us. We're back to the same way we were last year. Maybe with like an extra win.
I
But
was
I
gonna
mean,
say
it's
that
no.
there is a case to be made that maybe there would be an extra win or so in there, knocking that draft pick back a little bit. So pros and cons, I guess.
Or we're clicking, the offense finds itself, and we're doing pretty much better than 4-13.
Can't argue that.
And
But it also could have saved his job too. So it's like so many possibilities in this league, huh?
but this is like my thinking is that we knew the season was already a wash. Our receivers are still, but like no pun intended. Like they aren't that. They really. We have. I think we're like ranked 32 in receiving core again this year because we haven't scored a lot of touchdowns
I
and
feel
we
your
have
pain
not
there. If
won
it
a
wasn't
lot
for
of
Terry
games.
McLaurin, we'd be right there with you. No offense to
And
you guys.
I think that this year, if we don't go for receivers, we're pretty much effed. Like because it'll be the third year with no receiving help, but obviously with the draft coming up, free agency, whoever our next coach is needs to be an offensive-minded coach, in my opinion. Because also we had Bill Belichick all those years. He was pretty much the entire Patriot way with Tom Brady and all that. So I don't. It's hard to tell him he's like a strictly offensive or defensive coach because he pretty much just ran the team. He was a GM also within that entire time. So with Mayo's firing, there have been some candidates that I want to pull up. We
I know number one.
Who's number one?
I don't know.
Because we
Nah.
got
I would like to say Ben Johnson, but I don't know if he'll. I still got a little
he
sour taste in my mouth from Ben Johnson, if you
he
recall
is
from
the
last season.
hottest. He is the hottest coach available right now in terms of like
100%.
who teams want to sign. Like he's like people, especially with how the Lions have been, the whole turnaround for that team. They're like, we want this guy, and it makes sense. He deserves it. I'm not going to sit here and say he doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots go with Mike Vrabel as a head coach.
It'd be an
He-
interesting choice.
another former Patriot, but he was with the Titans for like what 9 years before he got let go. He was with them for a long
It was
time.
an extended stay. 9 is a lot. I'm not sure if there was that. I don't. You know what? I'm not sure actually. He was. Yeah, he was there for a long time. And
And
I didn't dislike him there either.
he had success with the Titans. He got the Titans to I think he got them to the divisional round at one point. With Mariota as his quarterback.
I think they
They
won
were
11 or
they
12
could
games that year. I
Yeah,
think
Derrick Henry had a great year. Took out the Ravens in the wild card.
AJ Brown.
Eh, no, this is before AJ Brown even
Was
came
it?
to the Titans.
Hmm.
Yes. Oh wait, no, never mind. AJ Brown came from the Titans. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you
Okay,
meant before
so
he was drafted. I was like, really? I know
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
been around for a while.
So, but he was successful with the Titans. Titans were always like a wild card playoff type team, anyways. So with his coaching and stuff, and his offensive, I feel like he's more offensive minded than defensive minded nowadays because he understands more of like the offense and he has that experience that Gerard didn't have or doesn't have. So I do think that he is like a high potential candidate because we just had an interview with him yesterday. Yesterday being Thursday,
Yes.
but we also have the Lions defensive coach had declined to interview with us. I think his name was Aiden, but he's also like one of those. He's also one of those coaches that's like out to look for. But from his standpoint, I get why he wouldn't want to take the job outside of Ben Johnson already doing it, like for the application process.
Yeah.
Uh, we it doesn't look good for us that we had a black coach one season and then he gets fired because the Texans did that with Lovie Smith. They did not get a good response out of
They got
that.
dog piled on for that. I remember
I
that.
mean, Lovie Smith got fired after leading the Bears to a winning season.
I don't know what that. It's like Lovey Smith is just like cursed or something, and I like him a lot.
We have Brian Flores. That's the name. Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn was his name.
Aaron Glenn. Yep. I like Flores
Uh,
too. Um, depends on
Cliff
if the
Kings.
rumors
Cliff
are to
Kingsbury is
be.
on that list too.
Is he really?
He is
I did
actually.
not know that.
I don't know why he's on here because I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. But I mean, it would help us out. I know he likes to run college style offenses, air raid a little bit.
I'm still like, I like Cliff. I'm still iffy on what he would do in a head coaching role, but it is undoubtedly, certain what he can do with a quarterback. I'm almost willing to put him in the quarterback whisperer tier. So
Hmm.
yeah, he can. I think him and Drake May could do some damage. I do.
And then there's a couple others, but the other one that I personally wouldn't mind Liam Cohen from the Bucks. He is the Bucks offensive coordinator. And I'm a
Big
Baker Mayfield
dummies.
fan.
Yeah, me too. I like Baker.
I've been a Baker Mayfield fan since he got drafted, not because of his style, not because of like his attitude or whatnot, but like more like his style of play. Like he's smarter than what people see. Like with reading the defenses and finding his guys on the offense like that. I know him and Odell had like a thing going on, but I think looking back on it, that's just more of Odell like not realizing that he was kind of past his prime.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And
They did Baker. The Browns did Baker dirty. I mean, what was that? He was dealing with a shoulder injury, I want to say, in that last like
the last yeah,
season he was with them.
because the year before he took him to the I think it was the AFC Championship.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's like the only quarterback that has actually made the. This is not disrespect to the Browns, but I mean it's just facts. He's like the only quarterback that was able to successfully make them a relevant team. Like yeah, they may not have been Super Bowl contenders, but they were good.
They were relevant with Manziel, but that's just more of the Manziel effect at that time. You put him anywhere, he was pretty much going to be money,
He was a money,
like
yeah.
literally a cash grab. But with Baker, like he was been the most successful since uh a long time ago. Probably like whenever they had that guy back on the Madden cover in 2012. But
Yeah, 29 years old. He's like right there, like the peak. Like most, I don't want to say most, but I feel like a lot of people seem to really be at the, prime of their peak at about 28 years old.
yeah, but
So
then he got dealt the worst cards he could be given. Was let go for Deshaun Watson, which we all
they
see. Oh,
regret it. They
uh,
regret it so much.
man, I don't know whose decision that was, but whoever did does not need a NFL job. But then he went to the Panthers, which whatever, because him and Sam Darnold were there. No, I mean,
Okay,
you know,
I'm glad you brought that up because that not only was that not good and were they pretty both bad there, but what were the odds that both of them were going to move on and have the seasons they're having this year? It's actually insane and good for them, man. Good for both of them.
yeah, both are in there, and they're both in the playoffs.
Exactly. Sam Darnold straight up resurrected his career from the grave.
I've seen those Vikings videos. They love him.
At least as a starter. I mean, I don't think he was definitely obviously he's bounced around as a backup, so he wasn't going to be out of the league. I don't think, but like as a starter, who had Sam Darnold down as even
I
an
mean,
okay starter, let alone going to lead one of the best teams in the NFL this season.
Joe Flacco came off the couch and helped the Browns still go to the playoffs last year.
That's true. But
And he was slinging it.
I really am happy for Baker Mayfield. I've always liked Baker. I've always thought he was a good quarterback. So, and we have to play them this weekend. We'll get more on that later though. But before we get too
I'm excited.
far off the beaten path, I do have some reserves about Ben Johnson. I don't know if you're fully aware of the situation, but the Commanders did bring him in for an interview last offseason before obviously all of the decisions did get made with Dan Quinn
Cliff and Dan.
But rumor has it that he canceled the appointment like on the plane or something. Like he was coming, like if I remember correctly, we were flying him out and he basically like called and said never mind. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but I'm curious. I'm worried about that for you guys. Not like obviously he did the interview, but curious to see where his actual head is. On being a head coach. Does he really want to leave Detroit, especially where they're at right now? And but eventually, if that's the leap he wants to make, I think this would be a perfect opportunity for him. And if he is as much of a key to that cog for the offensive game for Detroit, then I actually would really, really like that fit for you guys. I would.
The Ben Johnson. For both of them, like the offensive and defensive coach, him and Aaron, the stock can't get any higher.
No,
because what they're doing is like monumental. It's already like in history books of what the team's doing because they're reaching team records.
Oh, yeah.
The players are all like, it's like a whole different city in Detroit now because of how successful they're getting.
The Detroit
and for good
Lions
reason.
might be the best team in the NFL. That is insane to say.
And this is and Jared Goff's not like no he's never been like a bum.
No.
He's always had like this kind of success. He's had his success with Sean McVay, and then obviously that relationship soured. They trade for Matthew Stafford. Rams get a ring.
Rare win-win situation.
It is very rare that it's like, hey, we'll just give you this quarterback, and you just give it this quarterback, and it's like, okay, cool.
And it worked for both of them. Like you said, the Rams get a ring, and right now the Lions might be the best team in the. I know the Chiefs have the best record, Patrick Mahomes, but looking at the body of work this season, I think the Lions are easily the more impressive team.
Easily. And they're losing everybody by injuries, and they're still going strong. Like they pretty much blew out the Vikings last week.
I was going to say,
Jermaine Gibbs 4 touchdowns.
That was crazy.
So you gotta watch out for that. They still have Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. They still have a lot of people. What's his name? Tim Patrick. I think he's a wide receiver 3 on there, but he's been having a comeback season as well for himself.
I'm just trying to think of how many guys they've lost at this point. So they're technically better than they even are now, which is crazy.
And Montgomery's supposed to come back in the divisional round, maybe.
That would be,
or at least be active. Like the whole team's insane, but it would be crazy not to give all the credit to Dan Campbell for just changing that culture, but also Ben Johnson making the super right plays. And I do think that Drake May is a little different style than Jared Goff. Enhanced because Goff's never really been a turnover machine. He's never he's made the most with what he's got and then some every year that he's had the chance to. And
Drake May had 10 picks this year. Interesting.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty much that's pretty low for what I was expecting. Yeah, especially coming from a rookie standpoint too.
He did sling it 338 times, 15 tutties. And I mean, like you said, like we've been talking about.
He had 3,400 yards too on the year.
22.
22. Oh yeah. Yeah, we need that receiver help really bad. But when he was playing, it was dynamic. He was making the right throws, and I know 4 of those interceptions are from deflections.
Yeah,
and deflection interceptions are stupid.
It is.
So in reality, he probably threw 4 or 5 bad throws out of those 10. Which, if you take out those 4, so let's say he threw 6 interceptions, 15 and 6 is decent, even if it's just only 2,200 yards.
And again, I think it's easy when you're a rookie quarterback that can sling it on a not so hot team. I do think it's easy to kind of let that thing rip because what do you have to lose, right?
It's easy, but it's not when you have the receivers we have. Because it's you literally have to put it right in the pocket, or they're not going to get it 9 times out of 10. But whoever our next head coach is, I would hope is a offensive minded coach, and then we just find a decent defensive coach if we don't get rid of ours, and then the draft because we're at the 4 pick now.
Yeah,
we are and with the 4 pick, we are slated to get Tidiora.
So, I mean, I'm looking at it now. Obviously, we talked about it last episode, and, you and I have talked about it since then. We've been off for a couple weeks here for the holidays, but really would have liked to see you guys nab that first pick because then that's a huge trade chip to move down. But, I mean, looking at what's in front of us here, we have Tennessee, Cleveland, and New York. What are your, I mean, do you think the Titans take QB or do you think they move on or do you think they roll with Will Levis? Because if they don't take a quarterback, even if they do, you have 2, maybe 3 teams, all of them ahead of you that might just take a quarterback, which means you guys are still pretty much picking whoever you want because you're not taking a quarterback, right? You have Drake May. So you have still could potentially have your pick of whoever you want. So like I said, I would have really liked to see you guys lock up that first pick because I think you would have been able to then trade back anywhere from 2 to 5 and maybe even accumulated an extra first-round draft pick. But you guys are still ultimately in a spot to take who you want, and I think that's still pretty sweet.
I do think with that 5 pick, I think Jacksonville would definitely have taken Travis Hunter because they have But they still have Trevor Lawrence and whatnot, so they would definitely have just taken him
I can
or
see
any
that.
receiver or any receiver. But I know like the Mason Graham defensive lineman, he's a stud too. But I know the Brown situation, I do think they'll take Cam Ward. That's just kind of a business decision. That's pretty much the smartest one they got.
Watson's done. In
They're
my opinion, Deshaun Watson's done. The Browns, there's no reason not to make him done. You either cut him and you have to pay him his money, or you don't play him and you have to pay him his money.
as I said, the Browns might take the Russell Wilson route because they saw the Broncos do it. They got rid of Russell Wilson. He's on the Steelers. Broncos still made the playoffs. They made a 7 seed, and they have like $100 million in dead cap.
It's crazy. But yeah, I do. I
And
think the Browns are going quarterback for sure, without a doubt.
the Titans, I could see them going quarterback because I don't think. I mean, the year Will Levis has had has been kind of like
It was a walking
it's
meme
comical.
for like six straight weeks.
It's comical. He was a meme on the last game too. They said it ended pretty much the same way it pretty much started. So it's hard to say that they wouldn't go quarterback, but
they're a toss up. They're a toss up.
the Giants, though, I've seen a trade, a mock trade, if you will. They get Justin Fields, and then they get Travis Hunter, because I don't think Justin Fields is staying in this Pittsburgh for too long.
Here's what I'll
Especially
say.
he's not starting.
Here's what I'll say. I like that idea.
Like I saw that on Twitter or XD, everything happened. I was like, you know what? This makes so much sense from like all party standpoint.
I think the Giants are in a lose-lose situation, and that makes me happy because I think I said it last episode, and if not, then I'll be on record here. Personally, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are really truly first-round picks. And if
I
they
will say this though,
they're late rounders.
I am a Drew Lock fan, and if Drew Lock ends up QB1 at New York, I will be very happy.
I think I'd be happy with that too.
Because I thought he was decent on the Broncos, just kind of given a bad situation with the Vic Fangio and all that. And
I don't
then
disagree with that.
And then the Russell Wilson trade happens. He gets traded to the Seahawks. Geno Smith is already starting. It's kind of like what you get dealt there. But he beat the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles last year. He looked really good in that game.
He's had
Looked
his
pretty
moments.
good.
He's had his moments.
He's looked a lot better. He ended the season. He had a 5-touchdown game against
I saw that. Yeah,
the Cowboys.
Balled out.
That went
I don't remember who
absolutely
they
crazy.
played, but I know I saw the 5 tutties, and I was like, Drew Lock, 5 tutties.
That's my boy.
I do. I think the Giants are in a lose-lose situation. That makes me happy. I think they're either going to overdraft a quarterback that's not really a top 5 pick, or as you said, they do something crazy like maybe roll with Drew Lock or make a trade for Justin Fields. Drew Lock might be the best outcome. One, you don't have to trade anything for him. He's already on your team. I don't personally, you know this. This has never been on record because it hasn't had to be, but we've talked about it in the DMs plenty. I've never believed in Justin Fields as a thrower of the football. So that's why I say I think I could see them rolling with that, and that would make me happy because he strikes zero fear in my heart. No disrespect to him. But yeah,
being from Illinois, it's like you see how I'm not a Bears fan, but I see how they operate every week, and I've seen Caleb Williams, and I've seen the coaching. The coaching is very much the pinnacle of problems. And then you got Justin Fields, when he only had DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, he would still give them like 250 yards. This year, Cole Kmet's regressed heavily. DJ Moore, he's a star, but the offense itself was just not good. And they had DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, still Cole Kmet, Roshan Johnson, and DeAndre Swift in the backfield. And they still couldn't win games like that.
Yeah, a lot of people went into this season. So, after the draft saying, Caleb Williams, best, situation for a first round pick. And that kind of blew up in their face.
So, and I know they're on their hunt for their next head coach too. Could be Ben Johnson. And Mike McCarthy might be on the table after the season too.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
As bad as the Bears were, they still only have the 10th pick.
Yeah, that just
Crazy.
means a lot of other teams are just as bad. But with our fourth pick, we're supposed to get Tediora, and like I said before, whether it's Travis Hunter or Tediora, I'm just happy we're getting a receiver, and we will hopefully spend money in free agency. We have the number one cap space in free agency. If we don't spend a goddamn dime on a receiver, whether it's T. Higgins, whether lo and behold, it can be Calvin Ridley for all I hell. I don't want it to be Calvin Ridley, but even if it is, or just anybody in general, I will be very happy that we spent money trying to find a number one receiver because Tito is going to be the number two, or Travis will be number two, regardless of who we get. They're going to be number two to whoever we sign, if we sign anybody. But just please save the franchise before it's already too late. Get a receiver, and whoever our next head coach is, be offensive minded. We need an offense more than a defense right now. The defense is going to be solid,
I agree.
but we need more of an offense to help pick up this team and get us back into at least the playoffs. Because I do think we can make it next year with Drake May, as long as we have those pieces set. I don't think the offensive line is as bad as everyone thinks it is because realistically, when you have nobody to pass to, when the run game isn't there, what do you got? What's the offensive line supposed to do at this point? We're a dead team. We were dead in the water. And we just got to take that next step, and we just got to get somebody in there.
So I know that you obviously made it painfully clear that wide receiver is the number one priority and most likely the pick with number 4.
Two
But
years ago, our wide receiver one was Juju Schuster.
it's been a problem for you guys for a while. So hopefully, say you address this 4th pick. What would you like to see with your following pick? I'm actually curious on that.
Our following pick. Who is our following pick? We have pick 38, and it's another Arizona guy, offensive tackle Jonah I'm gonna slaughter this. Jonah Savanea or something like that.
I'm terrible with names too. Don't feel bad.
Uh, I like it. It's offensive. We need a more offensive line help isn't bad. I wouldn't hate that.
So you think you're solid at running back though?
With Ramondre Stevenson?
Just Stevenson though.
I don't know. I mean,
Because I had
it
a lot of
said.
faith in Gibby. I thought Gibby was going to be a lot better than he was after his first season or two in Washington. And I really liked him going to the Patriots. Thought he was going to have an opportunity there, and he just didn't. So, I mean, if that's back number
I mean, he
2,
was
are you
never going to
comfortable
be.
with
He
that?
was never going to be RB1.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, that came
Um,
and went for him, unfortunately.
I think as RB2, he might get another season. I do see that we're supposed to get Ollie Gordon at 77, but obviously, those late picks, they can go any which way at that point.
That's
Anywhere
true.
past like 42, it's like a wild card and like who you even get dealt with. Um, Ollie Gordon 2 is the next man up. I don't know if these stats are real. It just says 880 rushing yards, 13 tutties, 179 reception yards. I guess that could be legit. But he's out of OSU. I haven't watched a lot of OSU games. I don't know how good they are, but I would assume if he's at least that decent up in the second, third round, might not be that bad.
I'm still
Because I
iffy on
mean,
taking backs high. That's why I was curious.
I mean, you see, there's always like those stories of like those receivers and those backs are taking like fourth, fifth, sixth round, and they end up being a lot better than where they're at. I mean, AJ Brown wasn't even a top. I think it's like a fifth round pick, and
I
he
don't
look at
I,
him.
I don't remember. I do know that there's at least 2 guys that are probably going first round. Um,
Yeah, Gentry's going first round for sure.
Absolutely. And then what is that? What is the other guy's name?
The running back.
I just saw.
I know Amike is a receiver,
What was his name?
but
I
he
can't
no,
believe his
that's the
name.
only. That's not he. Gentry's the only other running back that's slated to go for in the first round.
Is he? Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know if
because the
that.
rest of them are just. Sorry.
No, no, you're good. I just absolutely had just a brain fart on what that young man's name was.
Let's see if I go down. I know Jalen Murrow. He's another quarterback. He's the quarterback from Alabama. He declared for the draft. And I know Quinn Ewers from Texas. Texas just lost today as we're making this podcast. He's undecided if he'll elect for the draft or not, and I hope he does because I need Arch Manning in Texas now. I really want him to go.
Cam Scatabo, however you say his last name. That's who I was thinking
Oh,
of.
the quarterback.
Running back.
He's a running back.
Yes. His current rank, 9th position, 97th overall. I'm not saying he will go in the first. I just know that was a name that I've seen over the last week. That's why I said I couldn't. He has such a unique name. That's why I cannot believe I forgot it. I
This
don't
whole
know.
time I thought he was a running back. That's crazy, or a quarterback. Uh,
I've just seen his name picking up a little bit of traction over the last week or two. So I was, that's what I'm seeing. Some people saying might be RB2, but I mean, right looking at these draft boards, he's not up there. So I'm wondering if that's a little
it'd
bit
be
of
tough.
someone
His
getting
because
noticed.
I've seen his run plays, of course, but I don't know why I thought he was a quarterback. Um, but the way his build is very similar to Ramondre's. Like, it's a big bulky dude who's gonna punch through the line or have like a decent outside run, but
You
hard to
know what?
tackle.
I think the reason I saw it was, didn't he win like MVP of the bowl game he was in despite being on the losing team? I think
Yes,
that's
and he
why
was
his
like one of
name
the first people to do
popped.
that in like over 20 something years.
Yep. That's why I was seeing his name. I knew it was something.
Which is obviously like it's like, hey, like yeah, you did great, but you still lost, but here's a trophy.
Yeah.
Hope this makes you happy. And he's like, not really, but that's cool, I guess. Uh, no, I could see us getting like any of those running backs, whether it's Ollie or Cam. Just I think Ollie would be better though, more for the reception side, and I think Ramondre will have a better year next year for sure. He regressed, but the whole team didn't really do any better than last year. So I mean, it's kind of hard to get worse than 3 wins, 4 wins with nothing. So that's pretty much all the Patriots talk I got. Excited for the offseason, excited to stress about the draft, excited to see what happens. Because if we pull a Hornets and we trade away the fourth pick, I will lose my mind.
Nah, I don't think that'll happen. Like I said, when you guys had pick one, I almost would have locked that in, knowing you don't need a quarterback. But at 4, like I said, two of these three in front of you are most likely taking a quarterback. And if all three do, then like we said, that means you get your pick of whoever you want, knowing you didn't need a quarterback.
Exactly, and that'd be even better. But when you get a once in a lifetime talent like Travis Hunter, it's kind of hard to pass up that whenever he falls to you.
I still want to put this out there on record for myself. I genuinely think he should play DB. And here's why, real quick, before we move off of draft talk. I think that he has the potential to be one of those elite level DBs at the next level. We're talking like maybe even a top 5 DB in this league, maybe even a top 3 DB in this league. I just don't know if the tools of why, like with the footwork, the route trees, not saying he wouldn't be a great wide receiver. I just don't know if I can see him being a top level wide receiver. Not as more so as I could see him being a top level DB, but that is just my personal feeling and take after seeing the kid play. He's certainly, the fact that we could even talk about that just tells you what type of player he is. Not even just an athlete, because too many people say, oh, this kid's such an athlete, blah, 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 blah. Athlete's great, but you still got to be able to play your position. And he's more than that. He's more than that. And I think that in and of itself should tell you the type of talent he is. So excited if that is the pick for you guys regardless.
Yeah, and if not, Tiora, he's still a great pick, still one of the top straight receivers in the draft.
Yeah,
So,
I like the
like
take.
I said, no matter who we get, I'm happy. If we trade back and we pull a Hornets, where we could have got Jalen Durant, but instead we get Mark Williams, I will lose my effing mind.
I
But
think you're good there.
Commanders, Week 18 against the Cowboys, game-winning touchdown again.
Look,
It's like I,
man,
it's like I said before. It's almost like a broken record. You guys still wins.
You don't. You
Even though this one
wouldn't.
didn't really matter. But
You wouldn't
oh no,
want to
this did matter
be.
because if you lost, you would have been 7th seed, right?
Uh, I believe so. I cannot remember all the stipulations. The Packers lost,
They did
so
lose.
yeah, I still think we wouldn't have. We would have been. We would have been sixth, I think, because the Packers lost. I'm not 100% on that, but you wouldn't want to be with me sitting next to me. I mean, last Sunday during that game because I was not a happy camper. Like, look, I get it. As you said, the game, it wasn't meaningless, especially when you're fighting for playoff seeding, but it had meaning at the same time because, like you said, you are fighting for playoff seeding, and I don't know if you caught this, and if you're not a Commanders fan, why would you? Because this is a quote from a head coach is something that the fans of that team are going to see, and Dan Quinn is basically on record saying that we were fighting for the fifth seed, and ultimately we got it, but I think that was problematic simply not because they were fighting for the fifth seed, but because he said that they were fighting for the fifth seed and that they wanted to go out and get it, and they came out and they didn't just look bad. They looked awful, terrible, atrocious. Let me put this in perspective for you. Trey Lance, 20
I
of
do want to point
34.
out. I do want to point out though that it's a division game. Division games are always
It's fair.
those types of games where it's like they still will try to beat you just for the sake of it being the same division. Even if they have nothing to fight for, it's just like, oh well, we beat you guys.
And that's fair. I mean, and that's low key, not saying I wanted that matchup. I'm not going to try to run from anyone in the playoffs because you make it to the playoffs. If you want to be taken seriously, you got to play the good teams. You're in the playoffs. You're playing the good teams. And if you want to win, doesn't matter who your opponent is. If you're the best team, you should win the game, right? But ultimately, I fully agree that, yeah, those division games get funky, but a lot of people are expecting that when the third string quarterback comes in, and let me put this in perspective for you guys, not only did Trey Lance have himself a game by going, what did we just say, 20 of 34 for 244, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since 2021. It is 2025.
Yeah.
And I understand that he didn't throw one in the game, but did you watch the game? He had a guy wide open in the end zone, and he just kind of botched it. We're talking a couple yards short. So realistically, he should have thrown one, and the guy was wide open. I mean, we made Trey Lance not look like a third string quarterback. I think that is very problematic heading into the playoffs. And I want to touch on one thing real quick. I cannot believe I'm defending the Cowboys here, but a lot of people kind of took a poo-poo on them because they benched Cooper Rush. And Cooper Rush had an incentive in his contract that I think if he played something along the lines of 60% of the team snaps, he got a bonus. So a lot of people said, oh, they benched him so he didn't have to pay him the bonus. If my mathed, he needed something like 60 snaps to hit that number. That was not happening in this game. So I cannot believe I'm defending the Cowboys, but they did not bench Cooper Rush to not pay him. They played Trey Lance because you know what you have in Cooper Rush. You don't know what you have in Trey Lance. And more importantly, other teams don't potentially know what Trey Lance has in him.
And to be fair, you're not going to know what a guy has through one game.
No.
I mean,
But they gave him
other
an
than Joe
opportunity.
Milton.
I
Other
was
than
going to
Joe
say,
Milton,
very
but
similar to what the Patriots did with Joe Milton. I mean, sure, he wasn't. Well, is
he's not.
Brissett
But he's not.
is Brissett healthy?
Nah, he's a healthy scratch.
So he could have played. Okay, so
Yeah,
I think it is similar to what the Patriots did, where they said, okay, it's the last game of the season. Our season's cooked. Let's give the third string. Let's give the. I know Trey Young's not a Trey Young. I know Trey Lance isn't a young guy necessarily anymore. He's been in the league for 3-4 years. But let's give the young guy a chance. Let's give him an opportunity to go put some tape out there. Rather he's back here with us, or rather another team likes what they see and maybe they think they can get the most out of him. So I actually genuinely kind of respect what Dallas did here by giving Trey Lance that shot. And of course, shout out to our defense because we made him look damn good. So I'm sure he's feeling pretty good about himself despite missing that tutty. But I think that was my biggest beef. Jaden Daniels wasn't looking too hot. Wasn't really on him because there were drop after drop after drop. When he was still in, the offense just never got clicking, and it wasn't his fault. Um, Mariota comes in, and things start to click a little bit more. Obviously, that's not a positive for Jaden Daniels, but ultimately, I definitely think it was one of those things to where I don't want to say Dan Quinn and company gave up on the game. But again, you're going into this game saying that we want to win and we want to fight for the fifth round or the fifth seed, and things aren't going so hot, and you pull your starting quarterback. So it's like, to me, that almost was a throwing in of the towel moment. Mariota just isn't a bad quarterback. Would I want him starting for the entire season? No. But he might be the best backup quarterback in the league, where he can come in and play well for a game, 2, maybe even 3-4 weeks if you really, if injury, if you really needed him for that long. But he's not a butt. He's not a bum. He's not. He still has some wheels. 5 carries, 56 yards, and a tutty. He went 15 of 18 for 161 and 2 tutties. He absolutely saved this game. But in my humble opinion, this shouldn't have been a game that needed saving, especially when you're talking about a team that went 12-5 as a result. A team with, well, we were already in the playoffs. We were talking about we want to win a playoff game. In my humble opinion, this should have been a 30-plus point blowout. Just make yourself feel really good going into the playoffs. If I'm on the Commanders team, I'm not saying I'm kicking myself or I'm down and out, but I wouldn't necessarily be feeling great about particularly the defense. The offense has its issues, but ultimately when they click, they click. The drops are there. That's unfortunate, but we know what Terry McLaurin's going to do. We know what Zacchaeus can do when he's getting involved. We know Zach Ertz can still do a little bit. We got Austin Eckler back. And we know
Noah Brown.
We know who Fives is. Noah Brown's still out. I don't know. I can't remember if his was considered season ending or if it was one of those things to where if you can win up, he's not back for this week, but if he might be able to come back if we win a game. I cannot actually remember the situation with his injury. But we did get De'Ami Brown back. He missed some time. I think he missed 2 weeks ago. So we do know what this offense can do when they are moving and grooving. And ultimately, that didn't concern me as much as the defense did.
Saying he's out for the year with a ruptured kidney. Oh my god!
I did not remember that. I did not remember that. But
I did see on Twitter with Marcus Mariota. I know I'm kind of backtracking a little bit. He was hyping up Jaden Daniels. Was it 2 weeks ago? Or was it this past week?
You're talking about Mariota when he picked him up off the ground?
Yeah, he was hyping him up before like the game winner.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Against the Falcons when he had to go down. He got the wind knocked out of him. He's actually, if anyone's interested, the Commanders have it up. Jaden Daniels mic'd up for that game, and they released the whole footage. He said he got the wind knocked out of him, so he was catching his breath, and then he went down. He didn't go down, but he was squatting on 2 knees, and Mariota walked up, picked him up. He said, stand up, catch your breath, go use your God-given abilities to win this football game. That's exactly what he went and did. We love Marcus here. I really hope he's back. I do. Not just because I think he's a great backup quarterback, but he's just a great individual to have on your team. And I think all the guys really like him. And I don't know if you saw this, but when we played the Ravens post-game, Derrick Henry looked like a little child seeing his parent for the first time in a really long time. I mean, he lit up what he saw. He gave him a big old hug, jumping up and down. So you can clearly tell he's a guy that his teammates really like. They really love.
They were in the trenches in Tennessee together for that long haul. They had that playoff experience. Like, and Mariota, he was always one of like those dual threat QBs before they could even like they were even popular.
He was the start of the wave.
It was like him and Jameis Winston because they were in the same draft. Jameis was more of like a gunslinging type QB, but Mariota is definitely more of the
Dual threat, yeah, absolutely.
dual threat. And he still has wheels. He was on the Netflix special quarterback last year with him,
I
Kirk
missed that.
Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes.
I did not watch that.
And his arc was more like an NFL QB trying to still be in league, fighting for his spot.
In Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta. Obviously, with the way Atlanta was ran by Arthur was not. Yikes.
Yeah.
So that's why he's on the Commanders now, playing backup. But obviously, it's nice to have that vet experience because your career's never over until you retire.
And he's only 32, I think. 31. He's 31. So still plenty of years to stay around. The thing with Marcus is that he's everything you want in a quarterback. He just doesn't have that elite level arm to make the throws that you really, if you want to have him as your starting quarterback and you really want to say, I need this guy to go and win me games, he just doesn't quite have the arm to do it. But one thing that is a little bit undersold with him is that as he has gotten older, what he has gotten better as is this. He's a lot better up here. He was never bad, but he's a lot better making decisions and knowing that his arm is a little bit limited. You know, he's not going to go out there and rifle one right in the chest 35 yards down the field like some of the elite guys can do, right?
Now, he's not gonna throw like a 50-yard bomb to McLaurin like Jaden Daniels is, but
Yeah.
he'll definitely
Make the right
the
plays
the,
at this point.
the short the short mid routes he can definitely be lethal with.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like
But
the opposite of Carson Wentz effect, where some guys, long range game, fine. Short range game's no good. He's more of the opposite, where he's like the short, like you said, the short to intermediate, cool. But you start to get to that intermediate to long, maybe don't throw those balls.
but I know I backtracked on that a little bit, but I did want to like just kind of like
No,
mention
no, you're
that
good.
like granted like if obviously I don't hope nothing happens, but obviously if Jaden does ever like go down for like a play or
We're
God
not
forbid,
cooked.
yeah, then like you have at least someone to back up on who has the playoff experience, who's been there before, and I think him and Dan Quinn can run the same style offense and still succeed, and no matter who you guys play against, which is the Buccaneers.
And I think that was a big thing with Marcus was having a guy that you just nailed it. Having a guy that if God forbid, knock on wood, Jaden Daniels needs to go out for any reason whatsoever, your offensive game plan doesn't change too much. But I do think, as I did say, if I'm the offense, I'm not too worried. Stinkers happen. But if I'm on the defensive side of that game, I'm sweating bullets. Because as you just said, we're coming into these playoffs and we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are I don't want to say ending our season because that would mean we're losing. But theoretically, we are ending the season how we started the season. This was week 1 for the Commanders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They dog walked us 37-20. It was Jaden Daniels' first game, 17-24, 184 yards. However, he also still did Jaden Daniels things. 16 carries, 88 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. The biggest problem, Baker Mayfield, 289 and 4 tutties. Leading back to what we just said. If I'm the defense, I'm sweating bullets.
I don't think you're sweating as much as you did that first week because Chris Godwin's out. The Bucks have had a lot more injuries since then.
But they have Mike
and like
Evans.
people out. And Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore.
Yes,
Part
we did
14.
We are getting Lattimore back for the game.
That's pretty much been the highlight I've seen on Twitter. Like pretty much any app, honestly, is like we get to see Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans in the playoffs right now. This is gonna be fucking amazing.
I think
Excuse my language.
Nah, you're good. That was definitely worthy of an F-bomb because I think that this could be one of the highlight matchups of the week, depending on which laddie we get. The one that showed up against the Saints wasn't even targeted. They were so afraid of that guy, they didn't even throw it his way. The one that showed up against the Eagles, on the other hand, look, a lot of people are going to gas it. A lot of people are going to say, well, look at A.J. Brown's comments. He said one of the best battles all season, and he had some really good reps against him. Look, that was A.J. Brown being a professional, being a good guy, okay? Let me explain something to you guys. Marshawn Lattimore is what you call a a shadow corner, if you will, meaning he is going to shadow the number one wide receiver on the other team. So what that means is that he followed AJ Brown all game. It's been a couple, what was that? Week 15? So it's been what?
Couple
3,
weeks.
4 weeks? Going on 4
Yeah.
weeks now. So, I mean, I'd have to throw the tape on. So someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm never right all the time. But I'm not sure if there was a rep where Brown wasn't covered by Lattimore. 8 catches, 97 yards, a touchdown, and Lattimore had not 1, not 2, but 3 defensive pass interference calls on A.J. Brown. Now, I will say this for Lattimore. 2 of them were absolute BS. They were BS, but the 1 was legit. 2 was iffy. In a ticky-tack game, you call that. 1 of them was straight up phantom bogus, though. But it was
I do think in those division games too, like refs kind of like need to ease up a little bit. They need to understand like
I agree.
When it's like the same division, it's a different environment. Like that's just how any sport really is.
You don't just want to win the game. You want to beat the crap out of the other person.
Yeah, but it's like, it's kind of like let the boys play a little bit. Like we're not like unless they're like fighting, of course, but like or like playing dirty. But I mean, if it's just like little calls, like I really don't need to be calling all that type of stuff,
I 100% agree. I mean, and I'm hoping we get that because it's playoff football here. But ultimately, like I said, we're not talking the elite quarterbacks. We're not even talking Jalen Hurts, who went out on like the first drive. We're talking about Kenny freaking Pickett. He lit Marshawn Lattimore's ass up because of A.J. Brown. In fact, one of the balls, and I know my Commanders fans are going to remember, but it was one of those things to where it was thrown into almost double coverage because there was safety help. The ball stayed in the air for an eternity. It stayed in the air so long, I had time to check my watch and go, yeah, there's no way Marshawn Lattimore is not picking off this ball. Still watching the ball, and A.J. Brown backtracks 3 yards and catches the ball. Marshawn Lattimore, elite corner, never turned his head. He didn't turn his head. All he had to do was look back for the ball. He had an interception. Here was my beef with that. It was like, I look at it, and we go back. Let's do a little bit of backtracking here all the way to the first matchup against Washington. And the first matchup we had against the Eagles, there is no Marshawn Lattimore, primarily guarded by Benjamin St-Juste, a guy that Commanders fans love to take dumps on every chance they get. Here's the stat line for the substantially inferior Benjamin St-Juste. 5 catches, 65 yards. A.J. Brown, no touchdowns. No DPIs. So the reason why I've been so upset with Marshawn in that game is because we traded for him specifically for the A.J. Browns of the world to deal with those elite level receivers. And in my humble opinion, he didn't just not do better than Benjamin. He did worse than Benjamin. So he did worse than what we've had here. So yes, we have him back. Yes, the battles with Mike Evans have been epic, but I really do need to see New Orleans Marshawn Lattimore. I can't see the last version of Marshawn Lattimore against the Eagles because
you get New Orleans Marshawn, then you might not be in the game. They might get ejected. I can't even lie to you.
He's a dog though, and I do love that.
But I mean, Mike Evans is great, but like their battles they're just either way. It's either Marshawn's locking him up.
They genuinely hate each other.
He plays man, or it's either going to go it's only going to go 3 ways. He's locking Mike Evans up. You're going to have to expect a penalty though. What it was called? It's like one of those personal fouls.
Unnecessary roughness?
Kinda. It might be
unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, unsportsmanlike conduct. That's what I can't think right now.
Yeah, no.
You might have to just expect
our time, people.
You might have to expect the unsportsmanlike conducts, and you're gonna you might just have to be ready. So it's gonna be a battle, and I don't think Washington's seen a battle like that in a long time since what was it, Josh Norman and Des Bryant?
Those Odell. They also hated each other.
Yeah, him too. I just remember that Thanksgiving game with him and Des Bryant. They just kept going at each other.
Des, I actually kind of like Des, but I do think.
But if Baker Mayfield gets hot, Baker Mayfield, yeah, Bucky Irving too. He's had a weird rise in my opinion. Because there's always Rashad White in the backfield as RB1. Then all of a sudden they just switched it to Bucky, and Bucky's just kind of lighting it up.
He's very hot and cold, but he finished the season with 1,108 tutties. In the first, I said the first, well, it would be the second matchup because we're seeing him in the offs. But in our week 1 game, he had 9 carries for 62 yards. We do not stop the run very well. And unfortunately for us, we don't defend the pass very well either. So I'm nervous to say the least. I think that there's no such thing as an easy playoff game, but no disrespect to Tampa Bay, of the slate we could have had, that was probably the easiest of the teams. So I think that
who's the third seed? Because you
Minnesota?
got
No, because they didn't win the division.
so you got Philly at 2. Would it be the Rams at the third?
Rams were 4th. Bucks are 3 because we have the 6th
Bucks at
seed.
3.
That's right. I forgot. We do have the 6th
Oh,
seed.
you have the 6. Okay, okay, makes sense.
The Vikings have the 5th seed.
Yeah.
So looking at it, Lions obviously have the bye. We have Rams, Vikings, we have the Bucks, and then Eagles, Packers. So I mean, it was either the Eagles or the Rams. You can make a debate on if you think that the Bucks are a easier out than the Rams or not.
I don't think you were going to reach the Rams though, especially with the season that the Vikings were having.
Yeah,
because you would have to make a crazy jump in wins.
So I think it was
Because they have 14 wins, I think.
Yeah, they do. Yes, 13 because they lost the final game.
14, no, it'd be 14 because they're 14-3 because they were both 14-2 going into that last game.
Almost 2 a.m. our time. We're recording way later than we usually do, but yes, I do think out of all of the possibilities, the Bucks might have been the best matchup for us. 1, because we already played them this season, and 2, as you said, they are banged up right now. They are not the same Bucks team that we played 18 weeks ago. So I will say that if we get the Lattimore that people are accustomed to, I think that there is an actual possibility that we can win this game. I mean, of course, there's a possibility, but I mean, I actually like our chances to win the game. It's going
into. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I'll say going into this week though, out of all the games this week, this is the most 50-50 game that can go either way.
I agree.
In my opinion.
A lot of this is going to ride. Obviously, this sounds like a dumb moment because obviously it always is going to ride on your quarterback, but it's a little more to it. Jaden Daniels is a rookie. This is his first playoff game in the National Football League. That can do a lot to you. It can absolutely kill you, or you can go out and just shock the world by saying, I am him, and this is who I am. And Jaden Daniels is him. I do think he is him. So he very much could come out and shock the world and dominate. I have no concerns with our offense. Yeah, they have their stinkers. They have their moments. But it's really just this defense that I'm worried about. We are, this season, the Commanders are 10-0 if they allow 24 points or less. 10-0. We won 12 games. So, again, it's riding on this defense, and this defense has been very, very shaky. They've had stretches where they look like a top 10 defense, and they've had stretches where they look like the worst defense in the league. So I think, ultimately, that's what it's going to boil down to. Which version of the Commanders' defense shows up? Especially which version of Marshawn Lattimore are we going to get? And with that being said, I do think, because you know me, I'm not biased and I just call it how I see it. I believe it or not, I'm actually going to take the Commanders to win this thing. I am.
What do you think the score would be?
I think that it's going to be something along the lines of 31 to 24. Something in there. 31 to 24. I think the Commanders can put up a 30 bomb. And I think that the Bucs might struggle with some of them injuries. Because like you said, no Chris Godwin. And if we get the Marshawn Lattimore that can lock a guy up, I think he is going to get into they get into each other's head. They do.
Every time.
So, and it's very 50-50 on who takes the L in that situation. If Lattimore is on the winning end this time around, I do think the Bucs are going to struggle to move the ball through the air, which means they're going to be relying on the run game more, which, as we just said, the Commanders can struggle to deal with. But if you're running the ball a lot, clock's eating away a lot faster, you're not going to have as many chances to put up as many points. It's a lot easier to get chunk yards and get chunk points when you're slanging that thing all over the field compared to when you're running it and just running the clock out. So that's why I said I do think something along the lines of 31 to 24 Commanders.
So I'm looking on USA Today right now at the money lines. If you're a gambler like me, the Buccaneers are slated to win by at least 3. For the
I actually
spread,
figured it would be a little higher than that. That's actually not too bad. I was thinking more like
not
4.
that's pretty much how like even games go usually. Whenever it's kind of like an even match, but like one team
Take the home team
might be
by
slated
3.
slightly better. Yeah, and the Commanders are plus 150 and the over-under being 50.5, which is a lot. That's like saying both teams are going to score at least 26 points each. But what I'm seeing though from the predictions from some of these people are Commanders 26, Bucks 17, Commanders 26, Bucks 24, Commanders 23, Bucks 21.
I think there's going to be more points scored than that. I mean,
So people are slating the Commanders to pull off this upset, which wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, this can go either way. Like I said, like I have no idea like who can really come out of this, because if the money book, the money books know their stuff, but a lot of people also see an upset when they see it.
so funny enough, I didn't think it would be this close. But I was going to say that those scores just seem a little low to me. Both Washington and the Buccaneers were top 5 this season in total points per game. They were actually right behind each other. Bucks were at 4 at 29.5 points per game, and the Commanders were 1 point behind them, 5th at 28.5 points per game. Their last 3 games, the Bucks scored 33.3. I'm sorry, they scored 33 even. Baltimore was 33.3. Commanders were right behind them at 29.7. And if it wasn't for laying that stinker against Dallas to end the season, they too would have been over that threshold. They both would have been over the 30-point threshold. So, that being said, I do think those scores are a touch too low. And again, we're talking about no Chris Godwin and a potential reality where Mike Evans gets locked up. So I could see that flip. I do think both of these teams are clearly capable of scoring 30 points per game. That's pretty much what they did on the season. But that is, I think I'm going to hold stern in my prediction with that one.
Well, if you want a high scoring one, I'm seeing one Bucks 37, Commanders 32. So it's not all
that is a
it's
lot
not
more
all
realistic
upsets.
in my opinion. But like I said, I feel good about this one for us, and I haven't always said that this season. But we are at an hour and 8 minutes, so I do. Well, what is your prediction? What do you got?
For that game?
Yes.
Oh Lord. I mean, I do think this goes either way. Um it really just depends on what kind of defense I get out of the Commanders. Because if the Commanders get a good, strong defense, maybe they can pull off the upset with a little like 27-24. If they don't, and Baker Mayfield is just on it, probably like a 44-19. because about that point,
I wish I could say I'm mad at that, but like,
once the Bucks, they start getting hot because they put up 40 multiple times this season.
yeah, I
You guys
know.
haven't
That's why
once.
I'm. Oh no, we did
Have you guys put up 40 points in a game?
once or even twice, actually. Believe it or not. Like I said, we it's kind of similar with the Bucks, although they're a little more consistent than we have been. But when this offense is rolling, they're rolling. They put up 42 versus Arizona, 40 versus the Panthers, 42 versus the Titans, and this isn't 40, but 36 against the Eagles, 38 against the Bengals. So they do. They have 1, 2, 3 40 bombs to their name, and they got close 2 more times.
Okay, I'm only going to count the Arizona one because the Panthers and the Titans don't. I mean,
No, I know what you
they,
mean. I know what you
they
mean.
should they should be scoring 40. So, and then if you want to look at the Bucks real quick,
That's actually who I'm trying to click on right now. I'm trying to see who their 40 bombs were against. They scored 51 against the Saints.
yep.
I'm also looking at 51 against the Saints, 40 against the Chargers, 48 against the Panthers.
So
So
they're offensively sound,
yeah,
but you guys can be too. But if you guys really got to use that deep ball to your advantage. I think if McLaurin can get out open in the deep ball, or even like what's his name, Odysseus,
Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus, if he can even just catch like a decent 30-yard bomb, then it could be a close game. But if the Bucks pull away with it, I don't think there's any looking back. There's no stealing
Nah,
another
yeah.
win. There's no coming back. I think that's just end of the season. Welcome to the draft. And but
Hey,
I'm hoping it's a lot better than 27-24. I'm also not hoping it's 44-19.
yeah, that'd be tragic. But so you are gonna roll with the Bucks, and I'm not mad at that. Yeah.
If I did, yeah, like realistically, I probably roll with the Bucks like 35 to like 23.
Okay. Okay. Your picks have been pretty on the money, so that scares me. But
I like it's just like I said
I don't think
earlier in
you've
this
been wrong
podcast,
yet, actually. You,
Baker Mayfield. I've been wrong. The Chargers game, Chargers Broncos.
uh,
I had it, and then for some reason the Chargers decided to play lights out.
yeah. Which I think
But
actually I got that one then. Yeah, right. I think I did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you got closer. But I'm really hoping that the Commanders do put up more of a fight than what I'm having them at. I don't think the playoff game for Jaden Daniels really matters because he's been doing this since LSU. Because when he was in LSU, they've been in the playoffs. They had the bowl games. I don't think this is new territory for him.
No.
It's just new people to do it with.
The thing
And
with JD is there's no moment too big for him really. He just seems to always handle everything really well.
but I don't see you guys pulling off like a big lead or anything like that, as I would the Buccaneers. And I have said before, I am a Baker Mayfield fan.
Yeah, I know you got you.
You
I
know,
respect that. I like Baker too. I respect. It's a hard game.
but he has the playoff
Pedigree. He does.
proof. He has the playoff proof that he can win these games
And he took the
no matter
Sooners.
what.
He took the Sooners to a championship, or am I wrong? Did they win
You're
one?
wrong.
I'm wrong.
No,
Okay.
just bowl
So
games.
bowl games. Okay. I thought that one big season with the flag planting and the dancing was a CFB.
Nah.
But
But yeah, 35-23 Buccaneers over Commanders.
I
I do
respect it.
think this will end the season, but I'm not hoping so.
I gotta say, out of all the teams here, if we were to lose the one, I think Tampa Bay would be like my least upset because, as I say, I do like Baker Mayfield. So this is a hard game for me. It's to
But if you
hate
guys do
the other team.
but if you guys do win, it's probably gonna be like a 27-24.
I respect it. I do. I like
But it's
that.
just not what I got going.
Like I said, I think I'm gonna. I still got confidence in us for this game, but you got me a little nervous because I know you're pretty spot on with these picks, but
I don't know. 13-point differential is a little crazy sounding, but like,
not with this defense. So that's why I'm a little nervous because this defense can be good, but they can also be one of the worst defenses. Looking at who we have in all of the playoffs, I really, it sucks to say this, but we're the worst. We have the worst defense of all of them, I think.
Well, I don't know. Packers they lost Jair Alexander for the year, so I don't think they're
I
doing
was thinking either the
much
Packers
better.
or the Rams, but I still think it's us, unfortunately, because like we have good. Here's the thing: linebackers are studs. There might not be a better linebacker group, to be honest with you. I know Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner were both second team All Pro this year. And at one point, they were both like top 10, top 5 in like grading and metrics and all that. They might be the number one duo in the league. So our linebackers is fine. It's the secondary that is just terrible, but haven't had Marshawn Lattimore but for 2 games this season, so that could be huge. And our defensive line, they're not bad, but they are very wishy-washy. They can get to the quarterback, but they also have large stretches where they don't provide any pressure and give guys all day in the world. And then we also have stretches where we get to the quarterback, but we can't take him down without getting 15-yard penalty in the process. I love Dante Fowler, but he is bad at that. He has like 4 or 5 roughing calls this season. So it's a very wishy-washy unit, very wishy-washy. And they are almost impossible to predict. All we know is that Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner are going to play well. That's all we can say for certain.
After that,
Toss up. It's toss up.
toss up.
But I don't want to end it real quick. Let's do a speed run as best we can. Lions have the bye. Chiefs have the bye. Rams, Vikings. I am going Vikings without a doubt.
Oh fudge!
30,
That's another tough one.
36-28. Minnesota.
I think the Rams can pull it off as long as the Vikings defense shows up and Sam Darnold shows up. If Sam Darnold doesn't show up like he did against the Lions, cracks under the pressure, then I'm going to go for the Rams 32-17.
All right, I respect that, and I do agree with that. Sam Darnold could absolutely fold like a lawn chair. We got Eagles, Packers. It hurts my heart. I'm taking the Eagles, and I'm going to take them 28-21. I was going to say 17, but I'll give the Packers 21. I don't know what's going on with Jordan Love, though.
I'll give it 34-20 Eagles. I think the offense has just kind of died down, and Christian Watson towards ACL. He's out for the year.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Do you know
Josh
what's going on
Jacobs
with Jordan Love? I know he got hurt last week, but what is? I kept an eye on it, but I didn't see the official.
Did he get hurt?
He did. I'm looking it up too.
He's
They're
off
gonna
injury report.
play.
He's off. It was his elbow. He's good. He practiced. When
I'll
I say
give him
34,
28, 27, 28.
no, you said 28. You said 28.
I said 28, 21. Yeah.
No, I got like 34-20.
34-20. Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Texans, Chargers. Oof. That's like the other really hard game to predict, I think, other than Commanders, Bucks.
Not for me.
Okay, I like that.
Surprisingly.
I'm going. I was about to say San Diego, but you know what? In honor of San Diego, we're going to call them San Diego one last time. One with the San Diego Chargers. 24-17. I think CJ Stroud folds like a lawn chair.
I got Chargers 26-15.
Hey, we got what we agree on. Let's go.
The injuries the Texans got were just too much.
I do.
So I think the Chargers are going to take this one away.
I agree. That wasn't shade to CJ Stroud, by the way, but you can only do so much when your team's kind of beat down to hell. Ravens, Steelers. Man, this might be the best one of the weekend because it's a divisional game. And to the Ravens, I really believe in. The Steelers they were really hot and then they kind of fell off a cliff. They didn't fall off a cliff, but they fell off a lot down the stretch. Baltimore, 30. We're getting a lot of 30s in here, aren't we? 38-28.
I'll say like 23 to like 16.
Those two teams, even no matter who's on their roster, they do play very defensive games sometimes. So I didn't consider that.
Zay Flowers is out this week.
Hmm.
He has an injury, so he won't be playing. George Pickens is coming off a week where he had 0 receptions. He
I
played
didn't know
pretty
that.
awful.
I didn't know that.
It was pretty bad.
I have a hard time betting against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, just like I would have a hard time betting against Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and AJ Brown. So I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with mine, even though I think I'm gonna take a big L on that one because, yeah, those teams can play very defensive. I think you might be a lot closer than me on that one, 100%.
What did you say your score was again?
38-28, Baltimore.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to start slinging it.
I think I went way too high on that one. That's just because I like the Ravens. I'm not gonna lie. Final matchup, we got Bills Broncos. This one's easy money. Yeah, Broncos. Bills. I'm gonna go with a blowout, 40-17.
Yeah,
Josh Allen's on another planet. He's had a couple of stinkers down the stretch, but he's relatively been on a blowout, and I might bite the bullet on that one. But
I don't think you've seen the Broncos game.
I know that they've had like a top 5 defense, man, but I need a blowout this weekend, and I'm giving it to Josh Allen. I think this is the most lopsided match of the weekend.
I don't think so. In my I'm being honest with this.
Okay.
Seeing the Broncos play, seeing Bo Nix play as this second half has been way better than
he balled out.
Probably a lot of people expected. Ever since that Jets game, he's just kind of lit it up. Him and Sean Payton are connecting. That defense is way, way, way tougher than people expect it to be.
They're like top 5, without a doubt.
And they, like you said, you don't just get into the playoffs just off of luck. You definitely have to have some type of skill, and you have to be good to be there. Do I have them beating the Bills? That's a tough one. Josh Allen's going crazy, but I mean, he doesn't really pass the ball that much. When he's passing the ball, who's catching the ball? Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman.
I miss Curtis Samuel.
Is he really do you really hurt Curtis Samuel and think, man, I'm afraid to play him this week? No. Khalil Shakir? No. James Cook? Yes. It's just the James and Josh show at that point.
Yeah, their leading receiver was Khalil Shakir at 821 yards. Keon Coleman was second.
See, they're not even cracking 1,000. I don't even think Curtis Samuel was third. Was he?
Wasn't. He was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th.
See what I mean?
He had a bad year. He played 14 games, 31 receptions, 253 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, he got
third. Third was Dawson Knox, right?
It was, in order for the Bills, it's Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Mac Hobbs,
Dawson
Knox,
one thing.
Amari Cooper. Forgot they have Amari Cooper.
But he hasn't a lot of reps though. But he's not getting the ball. He hasn't been getting the ball either though.
Ty Johnson, James Cook, then Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, the running backs outperforming him.
And tight ends. Ooh.
I'm telling you.
Poor Kirk.
Both tight ends too on top of that. So my score, I think I'm gonna keep it short. It's probably gonna be like a 18-15 game.
Ooh,
but I'll go with the Bills, but don't be surprised if that Broncos defense gives Josh Allen a tough time, because I don't think Josh Allen's had a tough time in a long time.
Well, let's see real quick. What were their last games?
Theirs being the Bills or the Broncos?
Jets, Patriots. Oh my God!
Yeah, that back-to-back was ridiculous. Because the Broncos are coming off a 38-0 win. Granted, the Chiefs played their third stringers, but that's a lot of momentum.
So they played the Rams. That's right. I forgot they had that crazy back-to-back stretch too. They lost to the Rams 44-42, and then the very next week they beat the Lions 48-42. And then Patriots, Jets, Patriots.
But that's just because those are good teams who are giving it all they got on those games too.
I am looking at it. The Bills didn't play really too many defensively. Real quick, we'll run it down. Cardinals, Dolphins, Jaguars, Ravens, Texans, Jets, Titans, Seahawks, Dolphins, Colts, Chiefs, 49ers, Rams, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Patriots. Yeah, they really didn't see a defense quite like the Broncos, I don't think, all season.
The Broncos lost to the Bengals in overtime, but they scored 24. They lost to the Chargers. They scored 27. Beat the Colts 31-13. Beat the Browns 41-32. Raiders 29-19. 38. Lost to the Chiefs 14-16. Like they are like this is like that second half I'm talking about with the Broncos. Like they are putting up points and they are not saying any apologies after that. Sean Payton is picking it up. So if the Broncos do pull an upset, I do think it'd be like a 27-20 type game. If they pull off an upset. Do I have my as an upset though? Most likely not. You can't it's just hard to bet against the MVP right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially with that defense. Like I'm
I
telling you,
I
these
need
games are a little closer than what people think.
Yeah, I got to give that to you, but I don't want to change it, man. I got it. Like I said, I got to get a blowout this weekend. Like why, I don't know, but I just feel like the only one capable is Josh Allen.
I think the Chargers are capable of a blowout.
I don't believe in Justin Herbert. I'm sorry. Sorry to the LA Chargers.
With him and Josh Harbaugh?
I had to call them the LA Chargers just so people don't actually think that I think they're still from San Diego.
Harbaugh has changed that entire team around.
They do. I love him. It's just I don't know.
J.K. Dobbins having a best year that he's ever had.
I just don't think C.J. Stroud's going to get blown out.
It's not him, but it's more like the team itself is going to get blown. Yeah, but I mean, he's also lost Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell.
Yeah,
so like
they got screwed this season. I feel bad for them.
I know they got Deontay Johnson, but I mean, he's not going to make a difference in the team dynamic. They're going to lose either way.
So before we wrap up, because I want to do this at the end of each video leading up. Right now, with who we have, give me your Super Bowl teams. You don't have to give me a winner, but give me your two teams.
It's still Lions Bills.
Still Lions.
I think I said that last time.
I think you did too.
But I'm still gonna go with that. Lions are virtually unbeatable. The Chiefs are definitely beatable this year. They've gotten too lucky. I think their luck's running out in this playoffs.
They're not making it out of the divisional.
If the Bills beat the Broncos,
well,
then you might have to.
I lied.
Do not believe in them.
I think the Chiefs are gonna. I think the Chiefs will probably be back in the AFC Championship simply because they're gonna be.
Well, that's possible.
Well, they're gonna be playing one of the Texans or the Chargers, and I don't think either one of those teams are gonna beat them. I am. So you're keeping your pick. I'm actually gonna change my pick. I had it as Bills Eagles. I'm keeping the Eagles, unfortunately, but I'm going to swap out the Bills for the Ravens. And here's why. I like them, but Lamar and Derrick Henry, I think that we are going to see Ravens, Bills in the divisional round. I do. And I think that Lamar and the Ravens are finally going to get their get back on Buffalo. And if that's the case, I will 100% take the Ravens to beat the Chiefs because I don't think the Chiefs are like that, and that'll put them in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to keep Eagles in the NFC, unfortunately, and we're going to go Ravens for the AFC representative.
Still don't believe the Lions after they just blew out the Vikings?
It's not that I don't believe in the Lions. It's that I've said this throughout the season. The Eagles are too stacked. They're the most stacked team in the league. They just don't have the best quarterback in these playoffs. They might have the worst. They don't have the worst.
That's a stretch.
I'll take Jalen Hurts over Bo Nix. I'll take him over
Jordan Love.
I don't think I would, actually. I would definitely take him over Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, and maybe even 38-year-old Matt Stafford. He is 38. He's something like that. I think I'd take him over Staffy at this point. But yeah, I think that's the only thing preventing them from being, without a doubt, the most dangerous team ever, to be honest with you. There's just too many weapons, man. They have one of the best O-lines in football. They have the best running back in football, unless you want to give that title to Derrick Henry. I won't argue. And they have probably the best 1-2 wide receiver combo in the league. Can you name a better 1-2 punch than Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? I can't.
In the playoffs?
In the league.
Amon-Ra and Jameson are really good.
I don't believe in Amon-Ra what's his?
St. Brown.
St. Brown, thank you. But that might be a little bit. I know I like to say I'm not always biased, but that might be a little bit of bias. I don't know if you know this, but there was some beef stretching back a good season or two where
His brother Equinemius played for you guys, didn't he?
well, did he? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know actually. I don't think
I
so.
thought I thought he played for
I thought
you
that was
guys.
Chicago.
He did play for Chicago.
But for those of you that don't know, there was a period of time about a season or two ago where it was the Lions were on the come up, but they weren't who they are today. And Lions fans got a little bit ahead of themselves, and they claimed that Amon-Ra was better than Terry McLaurin. And not only was that not true then, it's still not true today. So I think Commanders fans have a little bit of animosity towards the Lions and St. Brown as a result. So I think maybe that has something to do with it, but I just don't believe in him like that. Not saying he's not a top level wide receiver, but is he better than either Devon?
I got one for you.
He's not better than A.J. Brown. He might be better than Devontae Smith, but also if you give Devontae Smith the number one option on the team, I think he's doing the same thing St. Brown can do.
What about Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison?
JJ, yeah, Jordan Addison's. I think we're gonna come down to the exact same thing. JJ over AJ Brown.
100%.
Yeah, but it's not far. But I'm absolutely taking Devontae Smith over Addison, so that's kind of bad. There are some good contenders, but I do think the Eagles have a legitimate. You made some good points there. I'll give you that one. You gave me two duos that can definitely compete, but they're still clearly up there, right?
Well, the reason I said that, the only reason I said the Lions ones, the Jameson and Amon-Ra, is because look at the quarterback, Jared Goff. He
And
throws.
that is true.
He throws 300.
I'm taking
easily.
Goff over Jalen Hurts, 100%.
So with Goff behind that ball, I mean, imagine what the dynamic duo that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith could be.
That'd be dirty. That'd be so dirty. Even with Sam Darnold, at least the way he played this season. But my counter to that is neither of them have Saquon Barkley.
No, but the Lions have Jahmyr Gibbs.
They do, but I mean,
they have David Montgomery. The Sonic and Knuckles. Like obviously, what
I mean, so basically, what it sounds like both of us are saying is that we're seeing the Eagles and the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship, and it might be one of the best games, not just of the season, but potentially of the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounded like we got here. Pains me to say that because I can't stand them. Oh, I can't stand them birds. But damn, are they?
I know Saquon's having like a single greatest year ever, but like when you watch these Lion games and see like how these drives work, like the Lions are just punching through these defensive lines with David Montgomery in the first drive. Then the next drive is Jahmyr Gibbs. It's like a constant rotation. And if you're so scared of that, well, now you got the receivers. You got Monroe on one side, Jameson's going to go deep, and then you got Laporta in the slot as a tight end. Like, it's very hard to defend that.
And it's crazy because, in my humble opinion, it's very likely that the Vikings beat the Rams. And we already know what the Lions can do to the Vikings. We just saw it. So I don't want to say they're a lock, but they're as close as a lock for that. It's crazy. I think both first-round teams, it should be a no-brainer, but I think both of them, unfortunately, are a lock. Just looking at who they'll probably ultimately play in the divisional round.
Because the Lions will either play you or the Vikings. Because they're not playing the Packers. Packers are going to lose. Unfortunately,
well, they would have the Vikings by no, they would have us actually by default, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because you guys are the lower seed.
If we won, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you get
the Eagles,
I'm gonna tell you this right now, if you even win this game, I am not betting for the Commanders against the Lions. No matter what I said, no matter what happens, I can't do that.
I'm going to strictly because I can't do the St. Brown thing.
but it's just hard.
All right. That episode was just as juicy as I thought it would be. We're at an hour and 34 minutes, and we could honestly probably keep going for another hour.
I mean, I got some NASCAR things that just came out today about the new rulebook changes.
Maybe we can slip that in on the next episode. That's actually something we could start talking about eventually. Some NASCAR in here, see how that works out for us. But I do think that'll do it for this episode. Like we said, it was going to be all football. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we can keep going for another hour, but I don't think anybody's going to want to stick around for 2.5 hours.
Definitely not.
So we are going to end it there. Thank you to anyone, as always, that has checked out our episodes, that will check out this episode, that might check out some future episodes. And once again, thank you, Vic, for another hour and a half of your time. Would you like to close with anything here before I officially hit stop?
Super Bowls on Sunday, February 9th, 2025, the Daytona 500, February 16th, 2025. Because it's usually always a week after, and I know like that they want to talk about the extra weeks and stuff, and because that's usually like how NASCAR plays it. We got a lot more cooking up. Football's ending soon.
We're not done. We need
Basketball's still going right now. LiAngelo Ball's pretty much the most famous Hornet since LaMelo. Like,
got a new single coming out.
another one. Whoa. So just be on the lookout, because we'll have football season might be ending, but we'll definitely have a lot more coming your way.
We're gonna keep
on this channel.
Yes, sir.
So we'll see you guys next time, and catch you next week after these wild card round playoffs.
And we will see whose predictions were right and who was wrong. Until next time.